This lady signed away over $138,000 for a Scat Pack. Car prices aren't dropping fast enough because you still have idiots getting finessed for everything and then some on their car purchases. At the time of writing this video, dealers, specifically car salesmen, are still stubborn to let go of inventory below MSRP. The title of this video is not clickbait, you read that right. A lady in Houston, Texas got so badly robbed by a salesman that she may end up effectively paying over $138,000 for a Dodge Challenger Scat Pack. I'm gonna pause here and let that number sink in before getting into the details. Now, if you don't see a problem with that astronomically high number, you, sir or ma'am, are part of the problem of why car prices aren't going down fast enough. And let me reiterate, this is not a Hellcat, this is not a red eye, and this doesn't even include the wide body kit. This is just a normal Scat Pack. This lady got ripped off so badly, I don't even know what's real anymore, but I guess I'll start with how we found out. So a couple weeks ago, I received a text from my best friend who works on car insurance quotes for a big name insurer. From time to time, he'd share with me some random stats from across the country on how the car market is currently doing. For example, one month he'd tell me that, say, in Atlanta, Georgia, the most repo car was a Nissan Altima or Rogue. Random stuff like that, right? So every once in a while, he comes across a person who wants to insure their car, and if they happen to be financing that car, that information is then sent to him to make sure that the car owner abides by strict deductions and other bare minimums set forth by the financing bank. If you don't buy the proper insurance, or none at all, typically the financing bank can legally repo your car as part of their financial agreement. Moving onwards, on screen now is a handful of texts where my boy gives me the scoop. This lady is trying to renew her insurance on her then newly purchased 2022 Challenger Scat Pack at 16.94% APR. Now I know interest rates are the highest it's been, at least in my lifetime, but you gotta admit nearly 17% is not a good number to move on. The dealer MSRP was $54,420, yet the loan somehow comes out to be over $65,041? Meaning the out-the-door price must have been quite a bit higher, as you'll soon find out. The bill is about $1,455 a month for 72 months or 6 years. Now, this is one area where dealers can hustle the hell out of you. If you focus too much on just the monthly, you'll quickly lose sight of the big picture. Doing the math, the lady isn't technically financing $65,000. By the time the loan were to completely amortize after 6 years, she would have paid a whopping $104,755, nearly $40,000 more than the original loan amount because her interest was so damn high. Interest is the silent killer here. It will rob you of your future goals. Your job is to make sure you get the best interest rate, the best APR possible. It gets worse though. This lady is coming up on being 60 days delinquent, meaning she's almost missed 2 monthly payments. In the car business, if you're closing in on 90 days delinquent or 3 months without paying, the dealer or bank can legally repossess your car. That's what's known as a repo. If you have a problem with repossession, then maybe don't buy a car out of your means. Moving further into our text, come to find out she also had a trade-in worth $32,000 and put another $2,000 down. So she had $34,000 to bring down this Scat Pack's price. The only problem is, despite the Scat Pack being about $54,000 MSRP, she ended up with a loan of $65,000 on top of already coughing up $34,000? Where did that $34,000 down go? Help me make sense of this, you ask. Well, as an experienced car buyer myself, what happened here was that the car salesman quite literally stole her $34,000 from underneath her. You might have heard advice from other car buying videos that you should never, ever lay out all your cards at once to a salesman. They are not your friend. It is their job to finesse you for as much money as possible. Usually, if you can, you'd want to sell your used car at a later date or bring that into the financial equation at the end of the transaction when the car salesman arrives at the table with the quote-unquote final numbers. That way, they can't easily leverage your trade against you because you've already seen the quote unquote final numbers. I admittedly haven't seen a case as bad as this one, but it would appear they somehow convinced her that $34,000 in assets weren't gonna even cover a portion of her new car purchase, which to me the math ain't mathing here. Like, how did they pull $34,000 from underneath her and make that disappear, while still convincing her to take out a loan far more than the MSRP of the car? So in summation, this lady put down $34,000 that went poof and signed on a loan totaling $104,755, effectively bringing her total to a staggering $138,755 for a Dodge Challenger Scat Pack. You'd never see these numbers just 3 to 4 years ago. The MSRP on those Scat Packs in 2019 were $38,000, and you'd easily buy them for under that because dealers were willing to move them quickly. Fast forward about 3 years later, folks, that's not even a long time, and you have people paying over 3.5 times that. I have no words other than I'm just shaking my head in disappointment. Don't be like this lady. Don't let the dealerships continue to rob you, and do your research before buying a car, as this year and going into the next, we're hopefully anticipating the tides to turn back into the buyer's favor. We can't get there fast enough if financially reckless people like this lady continue to make bad purchases. Salesmen will continue to milk the hell out of us and live on cloud 9, and the perception of car buying won't change in our favor.